What happens when a beloved comedian steps onto a daytime talk show stage and dismantles the host using nothing but calm confidence and unfiltered truth? What you're about to hear is one of the most ruthless moments in daytime television history. What unfolded between Joy Behar and Leanne Morgan on The View wasn't an interview. It was a public reckoning, broadcast live to millions. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because this story gets wild. Joy Behar sat at the table wearing her familiar self-assured smile, the one that had intimidated guests for decades. The expression said she owned the room and everyone in it. Studio lights caught her perfectly styled hair as she shuffled her notes, preparing for what she assumed would be another easy victory. 41 years in television had taught her a simple rule: strike first, strike hard, never apologize. That day's guest was Leanne Morgan, a rising star in country comedy with millions of followers and sold-out theaters nationwide. But Joy didn't see that. She saw a small-town comedian from Tennessee. Easy prey. Just filler before lunch. She had no idea she was staring at someone who wouldn't play along. "All right, ladies, we're back," Joy announced, her voice dripping with theatrical authority. "I'm here with Leanne Morgan, who apparently thinks joking about small-town life makes her the next big thing in comedy." The ambush had begun. "So, Leanne," Joy continued, smiling thinly, "tell our viewers what makes your little story so special." Honey. Little. Special. 3 words soaked in condescension. The co-hosts shifted in their chairs, sensing the familiar tension that filled the room whenever Joy decided to go on the attack. Leanne sat calmly, dressed simply but elegantly, authentic where Joy looked curated. She smiled politely, but her eyes were steady, measuring, ready. "Well, Joy," Leanne said, her warm Tennessee accent soft but deliberate, "I think what makes my comedy special is that it comes from a real place. Real life, real struggles, real people. Not everyone needs to talk down to folks to get a laugh." The air changed instantly, not loud, not angry, just precise. Joy's smile faltered, just for a moment, before snapping back into place. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Real comedy takes intelligence and sophistication. Anyone can tell hometown stories and get a few laughs from people who don't know any better." It landed flat. Everyone felt it. "You know what's funny to me, Joy?" Leanne leaned forward slightly, her voice still kind, but sharp enough to cut glass. "I've watched this show for years, and I keep waiting for you to say something genuinely funny instead of just mean." Silence. The studio froze. You could hear the hum of the air conditioning. A reputation, built over decades, began to crack. Joy's face flushed. "Excuse me?" She snapped. "I've been doing comedy longer than you've been alive, sweetie. Don't come on my show and tell me what's funny." Another diminutive, another missed swing. "Oh, honey," Leanne replied calmly. "I'm not lecturing, I'm just observing." She paused. "Where I come from, we were taught that being mean isn't the same thing as being funny. But maybe that's just small-town values." The words hung in the air like a pulled pin. Joy's hands clenched on the table. "Small-town values? You mean small-minded thinking. Real comedy challenges people. It's not all sunshine and folksy nonsense." She was running out of ground, and everyone knew it. "You're right, Joy," Leanne said, nodding thoughtfully. "Real comedy does challenge people." Then she asked quietly, surgically, "So when was the last time you told a joke that brought people together instead of tearing them apart? When was the last time you made someone feel better about themselves instead of worse? When was the last time your comedy healed instead of hurt?" And just like that, the room had its answer. 3 questions, 3 bullets, 3 direct hits to the very core of everything Joy Behar claimed to represent. The words lingered in the air like smoke after a battlefield explosion. Joy opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. For the first time in 4 decades, 4 decades of lightning-fast comebacks, verbal dominance, and never being caught off guard, Joy Behar had nothing to say. The woman who made a career out of dismantling others had been silenced by a single honest challenge from a comedian she had dismissed as irrelevant. Whoopi Goldberg tried to throw a lifeline. "Well, This is getting interesting, she said carefully. Let's talk about your tour, Leanne. But Joy's ego wouldn't allow retreat. Pride demanded a counterattack, even with an empty arsenal. Wait a minute, Joy snapped. Are you seriously trying to school me on comedy? Do you have any idea who you're talking to? I've been on television longer than you've been telling jokes at church socials or wherever it is you perform. Church socials. The sneer of Manhattan sophistication aimed squarely at a Tennessee nobody, a desperate swing from a fighter who knew she was losing. Leanne's smile never faltered, not for a second. Church socials, comedy clubs, theaters, Netflix specials, sold-out arenas, you name it, she said calmly. The thing is, Joy, it doesn't matter where you perform or how long you've been doing it. If you've forgotten why you started, comedy is supposed to heal, not hurt. 8 words. They landed like a sledgehammer. Oh, please, Joy snapped, her composure fully cracked now. Save me the after-school special philosophy. Comedy is about truth, and the truth is, not everyone is cut out for this business. Some people should stick to their little local circuits instead of trying to play with the big girls. Big girls. A playground taunt. The last refuge of someone who had run out of intelligent arguments. The audience shifted uneasily, sensing the raw hostility radiating off Joy like heat from a 5-alarm fire. Leanne, meanwhile, sat perfectly still, calm as a summer evening, patient, certain, like a hunter who knew the outcome was already decided. Big girls, Leanne repeated softly. Something changed. The southern warmth remained, but now there was steel beneath it. Joy, honey, let me tell you something about big girls. Big girls don't need to tear other people down to feel important. Big girls lift each other up. 2 sentences, perfect symmetry, a mirror held up to Joy's entire career. Joy scoffed. Pure reflex now. Please, this isn't kindergarten. This is show business. If you can't handle criticism, maybe you should crawl back to whatever small-town comedy night you crawled out of. Crawled out of. The words of someone trying desperately to shrink her opponent, because she herself was shrinking by the second. Leanne tilted her head, genuinely puzzled. Is that what you call this? Because where I come from, we call it being ugly for no good reason. The audience gasped, hundreds of people inhaling at once. But since you brought up criticism, Leanne continued gently, let me offer you some. The studio froze. Cameras edged closer. Co-hosts exchanged uneasy glances. Everyone knew something devastating was coming. Your entire career has been built on punching down, Leanne said, her voice still soft, her words precise. You mock people who can't fight back. You ridicule folks without a platform to defend themselves and call it comedy. But real comedy punches up. It challenges power. It confronts injustice. It targets those who deserve scrutiny, not regular people just trying to live their lives. Joy's face darkened, from red to purple. The transformation was complete. Predator to cornered animal in under 10 minutes. How dare you come on my show and psychoanalyze me? Joy shouted. You don't know anything about my career or what I've accomplished. Oh, I know plenty, Leanne replied with a gentle smile, loading the final round. I know you've spent years mocking regular people. I know you think being from New York makes you smarter than everyone else. I know you built a brand around being the mean girl who never grew up. She paused. And honestly, Joy, it's just sad. Sad. One word, not anger, not contempt. Pity, the most devastating weapon of all. Joy's voice cracked, real vulnerability finally breaking through the rage. I'm successful. I have a career. I have influence. What do you have? A few YouTube videos and county fair gigs? Leanne laughed, and it was warm, genuine, human. The most authentic sound heard on that stage in years. You know what I have? She said, softly. I have joy. I have people who come to my shows and leave feeling better about themselves. And in that moment, everyone watching knew exactly who had won. I have fans who tell me my comedy helped them survive the darkest moments of their lives, Leanne said steadily. I have the respect of my peers because I treat people with dignity. Can you say the same? The silence that followed wasn't just uncomfortable, it was crushing, absolute, damning. Joy opened and closed her mouth like a fish, gasping for air, scrambling for a comeback that wouldn't make the moment worse. None came. Sonny Hostin tried to defuse the explosion, stepping in quickly. Well, different comedians have different styles, right? Different styles, Leanne repeated softly, never breaking eye contact with Joy. Is cruelty a style now? Because that's all I've seen from Joy today. She didn't invite me here for a conversation. She invited me here to embarrass me in front of millions. And the sad part is, she's only embarrassed herself. Joy finally found her voice, though it trembled with barely contained fury. You think you're better than me with your folksy wisdom and your holier-than-thou attitude? Let me tell you something, sweetheart. This business will chew you up and spit you out. Nice girls finish last. Maybe, Leanne said after a thoughtful pause, but at least they finish with their souls intact. Then she leaned in just slightly. Tell me, Joy, when you go home at night, are you proud of the person you've become? When you look in the mirror, do you like what you see? When you're alone with your thoughts, are you at peace? 3 questions, 3 missiles. Each one aimed straight at the foundation of Joy's identity. They hit like physical blows, 1, 2, 3, staggering her visibly. For a brief, terrible moment, the mask slipped completely. The audience saw past the bravado, past the designer clothes, past 4 decades of a carefully crafted persona, and caught a glimpse of the insecurity and bitterness underneath. I don't have to listen to this, Joy stammered, her hands shaking as she fumbled with her notes like they might save her. This is my show. My show. Actually, Leanne said quietly, her voice calm and unshakable. I think it's the audience's show. They decide what's worth watching. And right now, they're watching you unravel, because someone finally had the courage to tell you the truth. Joy scanned the table, desperately searching for support, validation, someone, anyone, to step in. She found only avoidance. Whoopi studied her hands. Sonny stared at the ceiling. The others wouldn't meet her eyes. The realization hit like a freight train. She was completely alone. You don't understand, Joy said softly, the fight draining from her voice. This is how this business works. You have to be tough. You have to fight for your place. You have to do whatever it takes. No, honey, Leanne replied gently, almost sadly. You don't have to become a monster to succeed. You chose to. And the saddest part is, you convinced yourself it was necessary, when really it was just easier than doing the hard work of being genuinely funny. The studio fell so quiet, you could hear the air conditioning, the soft whir of cameras, the unmistakable sound of a career cracking in real time. Joy stared at Leanne, hatred mixing with something far more unsettling, recognition, as if she were seeing herself clearly for the first time in decades and hated the reflection. Her breathing quickened. The vulnerability vanished, replaced by rage. Cornered, she did what she always did. She attacked. You know what? Joy snapped, standing abruptly. Her chair screeched across the floor, making the audience flinch. I've had enough of this sanctimonious garbage. You come in here acting like some comedy saint, but you're nothing. A nobody from nowhere trying to lecture me about my career. Leanne remained seated, composed, compassionate, her calm a stark contrast to Joy's meltdown. Joy, please sit down, she said gently. We're just having a conversation. No, Joy shouted, her voice echoing through the studio. This isn't a conversation, it's an ambush. You came here to make me look bad, and I won't stand for it. The audience shifted uneasily. Phones appeared, recording what was clearly becoming a historic on-air breakdown. In the control room, producers frantically debated whether to cut to commercial or let the train wreck continue. Either choice would have been a disaster. I didn't come here with an agenda, Leanne said calmly, her voice cutting through the chaos. I came to talk about comedy, but if you're feeling attacked, maybe it's worth asking yourself why. Sometimes the truth feels like an attack, because we've been lying to ourselves for so long that honesty feels like violence. Stop it! Joy slammed her hand on the table. Coffee mugs rattled and jumped. Stop with your phony psychology and fake wisdom. You think you're so insightful? Here's some insight for you. This business is cutthroat. It's survival of the fittest. And the fittest isn't some small-town nobody who thinks she can waltz in here and lecture her betters. Her betters. Two words that exposed everything rotten beneath Joy's worldview. Whoopi finally tried to intervene, sensing the spiral was now irreversible. Joy, maybe we should take a breath. Joy snapped toward her like a wounded animal. Don't start with me, Whoopi. I'm the one with the edge. I ask the tough questions. I say what everyone else is thinking. Is that what you think you're doing? Leanne asked quietly, her voice slicing through the rant. Because what I see is someone who mistakes cruelty for courage, someone who confuses being mean with being smart. You don't ask tough questions, Joy. You ask cruel ones. There's a difference. That was it. Joy's face turned a frightening shade of purple as she unleashed her final, desperate volley. I don't have to take this from some amateur who probably learned comedy watching sitcom reruns in her trailer. You want to know what real comedy is? Real comedy tells the truth, even when it hurts. And the truth is, you'll never be more than a novelty act, a cute little distraction for people who don't appreciate real talent. The silence that followed was different from all the others. It wasn't awkward, it was damning. Even Joy seemed to realize she had crossed a line, one that could never be erased. But rage had carried her too far to retreat now. Leanne stood slowly, graceful, deliberate. She didn't demand attention, she commanded it. When she spoke, there was sadness in her voice, and somehow that made her words hit even harder. You're right about one thing, Joy, she said softly. Comedy is about telling the truth, even when it hurts. So here's one for you. You're not the victim. You're not being unfairly attacked. You're not the wronged party. She paused. You're just a bitter woman who spent so many years tearing other people down that you forgot how to build anything up, especially yourself. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Leanne raised a gentle hand. The room fell silent. I came here excited to meet you, truly. I grew up watching you. I thought you were strong, funny, someone who survived a business that destroys most people. But what I see now is someone who let that business turn her into something ugly. Her voice softened further. And the saddest part is, you don't even see it. How dare you? Joy whispered. There was no fire left now, just ash. I dare because someone has to, Leanne replied. Your co-hosts won't tell you. They're afraid. Your producers won't tell you. You make them too much money, and your audience deserves better than what you've become. But they keep watching out of habit, out of morbid curiosity, waiting for the next train wreck, not because you bring them joy. She looked at Joy steadily. When was the last time you brought anyone joy, Joy? The question hung in the air like a verdict being read. Joy looked around the studio, the cameras recording her unraveling, the audience witnessing it, her co-hosts refusing to meet her eyes. And for the first time in 41 years, she seemed to see herself the way everyone else had all along, broken, bitter, empty. I've been doing this for 30 years, Joy said weakly, clinging to the number like a shattered shield. And what do you have to show for it? Leanne asked gently, almost kindly. Because from where I'm sitting, all I see is someone who spent 3 decades becoming someone no one wants to be around unless they're being paid to tolerate her. Joy's face crumpled. For a moment, it looked like she might actually cry on national television. Then anger flared one last time, a dying star burning itself out. You think you've won something? She snapped. You think humiliating me in front of millions makes you better? Congratulations. You destroyed someone who was already down. That must make you feel really good. Actually, Leanne said quietly, it makes me feel sad, because I can still see the person you could have been. I see glimpses of the comedian who probably just wanted to make people laugh, not cry. But you buried her so deep under bitterness and cruelty that I don't think even you remember who she was anymore. And with that, there was nothing left to say. Joy stood there swaying slightly, as if Leanne's words had physically knocked her off balance in a way no insult ever had. The fight had drained out of her completely. The predator had become prey. The hunter had been hunted. She looked around the studio one last time, searching for something, anything, to steady herself. And when she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. broken, defeated. I can't do this anymore. Without another word, Joy Behar walked off the set. It wasn't a dramatic storm out meant to send a message. It wasn't a theatrical exit designed for a comeback. This was the slow, defeated shuffle of someone who had finally seen herself clearly and couldn't bear the sight for another second. The sound of her heels echoed across the studio floor. Click, 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 until even that disappeared. The cameras kept rolling. The audience sat frozen in stunned silence. No one moved. No one spoke. No one breathed. Leanne watched Joy disappear into the wings. There was no triumph in her expression, only genuine sadness for what she had witnessed and for what she had been forced to do. Whoopi Goldberg tried to salvage what remained of a once routine morning show. "Well, that was certainly something. Leanne, thank you for being here today." "Thank you for having me," Leanne replied. But her heart was no longer in the pleasantries. "I hope Joy finds what she's looking for. I truly do." As the show finally cut to commercial, the audience slowly began to grasp the magnitude of what they had just seen. They had arrived, expecting light entertainment, celebrity chatter, harmless banter, daytime television comfort food. Instead, they witnessed the complete psychological unraveling of a television personality who had spent 4 decades hiding behind cynicism and cruelty. In the end, it wasn't anger that brought Joy Behar down. It wasn't shouting. It wasn't cruelty met with cruelty. It was something far more devastating. It was the unvarnished truth, delivered with calm, compassion, and restraint by someone who refused to play by Joy's rules, someone who refused to sink to her level, someone who refused to become what Joy had become. And that is how a small-town comedian from Tennessee managed to do what no politician, no celebrity, and no fellow comedian had accomplished in 4 decades. She held up a mirror and forced Joy Behar to see exactly who she had become. The reflection was unbearable. So Joy walked away. What do you think it takes for someone to truly change after decades of becoming someone they were never meant to be? Is redemption possible after 41 years of cruelty? Can a person rebuild themselves after tearing down so many others? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one.